Ladies and gentlemen, in this video we are going to consider the full details of completing the square, what it really means and where it comes from. Bx plus c. This is our quadratic equation where we're going to derive our quadratic formula through the method of completing the square. Starting off with the first step, which is divide throughout by the coefficient of x squared or by the value of a. So this will cancel this, and then we're going to have x squared plus b all over a, x plus c all over a is equals to 0. Now we're going to transpose the constant to the right hand side. We're going to have x squared plus b all over a, x plus c, it's equals to negative c all over a. So now we are going to make the respective figures for these three terms in this equation. So the first figure we're going to have is a square. The second figure we are going to have is a rectangle. And a third figure that we're going to have is a square. Now, it might seem a little bit complicated for now, but you'll soon understand why these figures are important. So we'll label this figure I, we'll label this figure K, and we'll label this figure J. Now here, the area of, the length and the breadth is going to be x and x, so that the area of this square now is going to be x squared. Remember, the area of a square is length times breadth, so it's x squared. So now for here, we are going to have our breadth as b all over a and our length as x. So the area of this is going to be b all over a x, because the area is actually length times breadth. And then here we're going to have negative c all over a as our area for figure J. Now continuing, we are going to split this rectangle in half. We're going to split it right here in the middle. Now, when we split it in half, we are actually going to halve this length or this breadth. We're going to halve this breadth, and then now we are going to add half of this rectangle here on the right hand side, and we are going to add another half of this rectangle here below. Now we're going to have our figure underneath x squared, and then half of this rectangle is going to go here, and half of this rectangle is going to go here. Now the half of this breadth is going to be b all over a. Now to halve this, we're simply going to multiply by 1 all over 2, and we're going to result with b all over 2a. Now we are going to label our sides now. Going to have x here, going to have x here. Now when we halve it here, our length is not going to change. We're going to have x here, and we're going to have x here. And then here, our breadth now has changed to the half of the coefficient of x, which is b all over a. The half of it is going to be b all over 2a. Now we label the breadth b all over 2a, since it's the half of the rectangle that we started with. So another half is going to be b all over 2a. Now this is going to be our area of this rectangle is going to be b all over 2ax, and here is going to be b all over 2ax, since the length is x and the breadth is b all over 2a. Now we're going to equate this to figure J, which is negative c all over a. Now notice that we have a missing part here to make this figure a complete square. Now this is the part where I think the term completing the square came from. So to complete this square, we're simply going to add this piece now. So we started off with this and this and this. these two form this figure, and then this is figure I. So this part was not there initially. So because we edited this side, we also have to edit this side, because what you do on the left, you must also do on the right, according to the law of mathematics, or in order for our equation to balance. Now we're going to add this piece here, and we're also going to add it here. Now here our area, our breadth actually is b all over 2a, since the breadth hasn't changed for this rectangle, and the breadth, this side is equal to this side, so it's going to be b all over 2a as well. So the area here is going to be equals to b all over 2a squared, and the area here is, well, this, we added the exact same figure this side, so the area is going to be b all over 2a squared as well. Now we are going to remove these figures now and have the equation of what, of areas as terms. We're going to have x squared plus the area of this rectangle is b all over 2a x, plus the area of this rectangle is going to be b all over 2a x, plus the area of this new piece that we've added, or the new piece that we've introduced, is b all over 2a squared, equals to negative c all over a plus b all over 2a squared. Now, continuing, we are going to make x subject of the formula, starting off with factoring out the common factors in this equation. We're going to factor out x, then inside the bracket here we're going to be left with x plus b all over 2a close bracket, plus here we're going to factor out b all over 2a, since it is the common term, b all over 2a close bracket, inside the bracket we'll be left with x plus b all over 2a square, b all over 2a. Now that we have our factors out here, this side we're going to simplify as well. So here we're going to have negative c all over a, plus the square is going to affect both the numerator and the denominator. Here we're going to have b squared, underneath we're going to have 4a squared, since this squared is going to affect both terms in the denominator. So we continue. Here we have a common factor, since this is a binomial of two terms. So we have x plus b all over 2a as a common factor. So we're going to factor it out. X plus b all over 2a. Open bracket, this side will only be left with x, plus this side will only be left with b all over 2a. And then we're going to simplify this side again. This term, we're going to multiply it with what? With the numerator this side, and this we're going to multiply it with the numerator this side, and then we're going to multiply both denominators. So starting off with this one, we're going to have negative 4a squared c, and then a multiplied by b squared is going to be positive ab squared. Divide the whole thing by the product of the denominators, which is going to be 4a cubed. A multiplied by a squared is going to be a cubed. Now here we are going to square it, since it's the same. Now we're going to have x plus b all over 2a squared. So it's simply is simply x plus b all over 2a squared, since we multiplying the same term. Now this is going to be equivalent to what we have on the right, which is negative 4a squared c plus b squared divided by the denominator is going to be 4a cubed. 4a cubed. Now continuing, we are going to have x plus b all over 2a squared, which is going to, now this side is, we are going to factor out the value of a. This side is, we have a, here we have a. Now we are going to factor out a, since a is common in the numerator and in the denominator. We're going to have negative 4ac, since we are going to factor out 1a here, and then this side we're going to be left with b squared, since we only had 1a and we already factored it out. Now this side we're going to do the same. 4a squared, close bracket, since we factored out only 1a, will be left with 2a, so it's going to be a squared. Now continuing here, this is going to be cancelled, this one. So continuing, we are going to introduce the square root this side, and then we are going to introduce the square root this side. So we are going to have x plus b all over 2a, which is equals to, remember the square root has both operations, positive and negative. Now the square root of a fraction is going to be the square root of the numerator and the square root of the denominator. So the square root of the numerator is going to be positive, negative, minus 4ac plus b squared, and then divide the whole thing by the square root of what? 4a squared. Now continuing, we're going to have x plus b all over 2a, which is equals to, now here on top we are going to just rearrange this. This we're going to take this side, and this we're going to take this side. So we're going to have the square root of plus minus b, the square root of b squared, minus 4ac. We simply rearranged the one on top, and here we're going to simplify it. We're going to have the square root of 4, which is 2, and the square root of a squared, which is a. Now we're going to transpose this constant to the left hand side, to the right hand side. So we're going to have x is equals to negative b all over 2a plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, divide the whole thing by 2a. Now our x is going to be, if you add or subtract the factors with the same denominator, we're going to add or subtract the numerators and take one denominator. For now we're going to have 2a as the denominator, and then on top we're going to add or subtract. It's going to be negative b plus minus b squared minus 4ac. So this is our quadratic formula. So this is how you derive the quadratic formula through the use of completing the square. Thanks.